We'll get right into it because we know our first guest is extremely busy right now with his regular duties, but with an impending storm, very busy. So we appreciate him taking the time. Of course, that's Polk County Public Schools Superintendent Fred Heid. And Mr. Superintendent, thank you so much for coming on Sports Central.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Well, you've been in Polk County now, what, 14, 15 months
14,
on the job?
15, yes, sir.
Okay. And how's it going so far?
It's going great. You know, I've got a teenage son, a high school age son. He participates in high school athletics and sports, and so we've really settled in as a family. My mom lives with us, and my wife's done well, and so we love it. The community's truly embraced us. A lot to do here. We live in South Lakeland, so we're in a good situation. And work-wise, it's been great. We've made a lot of headway the first year. Second year, getting ready to finalize. We just recently finalized some portions of the strategic plan. So it's an exciting time because now we have a roadmap to success for the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, some people might wonder, why do we have the superintendent of schools on Sports Central? But I truly believe, and I think you probably have seen, because you were originally from the Miami area, then you were up north, and then coming back to Florida.
Correct.
I think you've seen that sports is part of the fabric of this community, and certainly that's true at the high school level, right?
Correct. Absolutely. Actually, it's woven throughout all grades, you know, starting early on and as early as grade 2. So for our students, I am a firm believer in one of our strategic plan goal areas is goal number 5, and that's the whole child. And athletics and those types of things are enrichment opportunities that all of our students should have an opportunity to participate in. It teaches them sportsmanship, it teaches them how to problem solve. It's great for them physically. They can become lifelong, you know, they learn about lifelong exercise and how to take care of themselves. So there's no better opportunity. And let's be honest, you know, youth sports consume a great deal of our time. You know, there are a lot of weekends where I've spent out on a field or multiple fields, depending on how many sports your child's playing at the same time. But it's a great opportunity for our kids. And actually, it's an opportunity for our kids to feel they're part of something larger. Right. And it's a great mentoring opportunity for many of our students as well. So.
Yeah, as Neal talked about, obviously being from Miami area and then opportunity to go up north. What you know, what kind of drew you come back to Florida, more specifically, obviously here in Polk County?
Family, you know, an opportunity. I was out of state for 7 years as a superintendent, and colleagues reached out to me and brought up Polk County, and I was very interested because I saw the potential in Polk County. You know, the growth and having 12 major colleges and universities here locally, and then be able to outreach to others. The programming was intact, our academy programs, so everything was attractive. And when I was interviewing, what ultimately sealed the deal for both my wife and I was the sincerity of the interest that our community had to see Polk County Public Schools be successful. And so that was what sealed it for us, and we're fortunate to be here now.
Wonderful. Well, I think as you were evaluating things, and as you've been here for 14 or so months, and you probably already knew, being from the Miami area, being originally from Florida, the success, not only, and we'll get back to it in a second, on the athletic side of things, but on the academic side, because there's a reason student-athlete, that the student part is before the athlete part, and the things that you were talking about, it helps with attendance, it helps with grades, it helps with all that. So what have you seen that was already in place? Because in my observation, we have had great superintendents as far as their support of athletics in Polk County. It seems like the infrastructure was there. There's always some tweaking, but what did you see, or what have you noticed in Polk County that supports the student-athlete aspect?
I think, you know, and thank you for highlighting that, actually, the fact that the student comes first before athletics, because that's what we're trying to instill in all of our students. But one of the things here in Polk County that we truly benefit from is we have very robust systems and programs in place. I'm proud of the fact that as a school district, we've actually expanded opportunities for students into what some would call non-traditional sports. You know, we have e-gaming now, and that's growing, and we're adding that to additional campuses every year until we get it to all of our high school and middle school campuses. So the fact that we're willing to be innovative, we're willing to go outside the box and create opportunities for all students. But within our athletics programs, there is a sense of pride and commitment to our students first, to ensure that they're academically successful. I love the fact that our coaches hold our students accountable, both on and off the field. They create an atmosphere where they wrap around our students to provide tutoring and mentoring. But again, I think the sincerity in which we approach athletics, and the fact that we support so many different sports for all of our students so that we can cover all their interests and bases, but also for all genders. So we try to approach that equitably, and I'm proud of the fact that Polk County was way ahead of where I would have been in my last district, and it's just something to continue to show the evolution of. Very proud of the fact, and Mr. Talbot brought forward several recommendations this year to add additional sports that we did not previously currently have, boys volleyball, bowling, those types of things. And so I think that speaks volumes of our school district and our commitment to provide equitable opportunities for all of our kids.
Talk about growth, Polk County. Obviously, it's no secret.
You already stressed him out with that question.
No secret. Obviously, the growth of Polk County. Just talk about kind of what's on the horizon with Polk County, with new schools potentially coming. I know there's been some word recently of high school, so forth, but it's growing like wildfire, and obviously you guys are trying to get ahead of it to plan and prepare for things coming.
Yeah, and that is our goal. We've got to get ahead of it. We've got to plan a little differently. Our current strategy, because of the speed in which growth was occurring, was to overutilize portables. And the problem with that is you lose field space more often than not. Our campuses are largely landlocked. Our traditional campuses are largely landlocked. And so we find ourselves forfeiting fields and then having to relocate athletics off campus. So as we move forward, the goal is to properly plan for unanticipated growth. Great example, we had a K-8 school prior to my arrival that opened up. The school was projected to open at 80% capacity. It opened up at over 120% capacity. They had to add 18 portables prior to the start of the school year just to get the school to open. Our growth is very real. Last school year we had about 110,000 students. This year we're projected to have almost 117,000. So for us, again, as you mentioned, we're already looking at a new high school site. We've also gotten a little bit more innovative and creative in how, with our current campuses. So McLaughlin Middle School now has become actually a 612 campus, similar to Frostproof and to Fort Meade. We've also expanded at Bellicita. It's now become a K-8 instead of just an elementary school. So we're trying to create a tight-knit community in these schools, limit the number of transitions for our students, but also keeping an eye on their growth potential and our needs. So we are looking in the Haines City area to put another high school site closer to the Point Siena border. We realize that is the next wave of development, and so we've got to create some relief there, and we're trying to get ahead of that so we can get something launched by 25, 26. So.
And I think that you talk about those new campuses and those new opportunities and new teams, and it also creates more opportunity for other sports, as you're mentioning, esports. But right now, Gerald and I were mentioning as we came on air, it's the fall, it's almost October, it's Friday Night Lights. That's certainly, and we're going to have Dan Talbot on a little bit later, but the logistical nightmare it is on a normal Friday night, let alone when we have some of these weather delays and things like that. But Friday Night Lights isn't just football, it's cheerleading, it's band, it's performing art, it's all those things. So do you see that football as being, I'm not saying your favorite, but
Sure.
do you see that as being that one sporting event that really brings the most people together as it comes with students at the school?
Oh, absolutely. It's our largest. You think about it. It's the largest team you field, so it impacts the largest number of students and families. And then, as you mentioned, you've got marching band that sits in the stands or comes out. You've got your cheerleaders. You also have the dance squad. You have multiple other entities. ROTC comes out. So it is hands down the largest community event we host across the district every Friday night. And I tell you, the sense of community and the pride that our community takes in their schools is very evident, especially of late. We have not had good weather on Friday nights. Many of our games have had significant delays, but they stay and they cheer on, and they turn out and they cheer for their students. Even people who don't have children any longer, there's this sense of commitment. It is something that truly resonates with many of our community members because it brings back so many fond memories of high school and their involvement and commitment to that community. So, Friday night, absolutely hands down, football is the biggest draw we have. Second to that's probably basketball, and then you start kind of going into other sports. But
right, when you talk about that sense of community, that also helps to generate those sponsorship dollars and generate a bigger gate that helps to offset the enormous amount. There's a lot of cost that is associated with these programs, and I will say on air, I know he's sitting over there, and it might embarrass him a little bit, but Dan Talbot has done an unbelievable job for Polk County Public Schools, and not only understanding the how important it is to the community, but how it can make Polk County Public Schools better for it all to be inclusive. And so I wanted to tell you on air, he might be mad at me, but he's done an outstanding job.
So are you negotiating his contract? Is that
No, that's all you, sir.
Just kidding. Dan has been absolutely hands down amazing. I met Dan when I was first interviewing, and Mr. Talbot and others have really helped me quite a bit. You know, Mr. Talbot will spend whatever time is necessary if there's an issue. We deal with a lot of issues. You know, when you have a school that's built in a community, Friday Night Lights, while again a large percentage of the community loves that, there are others, they're like, why are the lights still on past 11 p.m. and why is the music still playing and it's too loud and what can we do about the crowd? And,
Right.
you know, and then traffic congestion. So there's a give and take that has to happen there, and I would tell you Mr. Talbot does an amazing job balancing all those interests and helping us address them. So it's more than just hosting athletics, it's everything that comes with that. And you're absolutely right to give him credit because he and his team do a phenomenal job.
Super. Well, we appreciate, you know, obviously you being active as you are. Obviously your social media looks like you're here, there, and everywhere. Not sure that you're ever home, or if your wife likes it that way. But no, we as superintendent, it's great, you know, to see you out at events, and I know, you know, being out at football games or other events, you know, from hearing that, man, you know, it's nice to see the superintendent out. What, you know, as we kind of start to wind down, wrap up, going forward, what kind of goals do you have for the athletic department for Polk County, you know, in the coming years to continue that growth and expand, you know, obviously as the disciplines that have been added recently and going forward, what additional things do you know could you see happening?
Yeah, additional coaching, mentoring, and professional development. We have great coaches, great athletic directors, but we're hitting an era where we're going to start to see a lot of turnover with coaches retiring, head coaches retiring, athletic directors who will be leaving in the next 3 to 5 years. So we've got to start to set the stage for that next generation of leaders. So I think making sure that they're attending coaching clinics and those types of things will go a long way. But giving them opportunities to collaborate even more than they do now. They do it on a limited basis now, or at least within the constraints that Mr. Talbot can organize, so I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see us raise the bar. Quite honestly, I'd like to see us raise the bar as far as expectations. Winning's not everything, but it does keep people in the seats and it does keep people motivated. But we've got to instill in our students, and part of that too is developing a stronger feeder pattern. We've got to reach down into our middle school and our Pee-wee sports and create better partnerships that will help us funnel students into the appropriate sports and giving more students opportunities. There are students, as you know, with youth sports, it's become incredibly competitive, and it's not just competitive in the field, but it's competitive financially. And so how do we create opportunities for those students so that we don't miss somebody who otherwise, because of affordability, can't participate in a sport? So, and we've seen sport interest change. You know, up north, for example, football was dying. There were programs that were actually not able to field JV teams because lacrosse is taking over. Right. So we have to stay cognizant and focused on the ebb and flow of where our students' interests are and be responsive to that as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate the time. We know that there might be potentially being a storm headed our way, so you got to get back to that. But we do appreciate the time coming on Sports Central, and we definitely want to have you back.
Please, anytime. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more videos from Sports Central, click the video below and be sure to like, share, and subscribe.